Captain Atom number 11, written by J.T. Kroll, art by Freddie Williams II. Last issue left off with Captain Atom splitting his superhero part and his human part into two separate bodies. And the human part, which I will be calling Nathaniel, immediately goes and starts hitting on Renita. Like, not even a second is wasted there. This issue picks up, apparently, the superhero part, who I will call Captain Atom, has basically gone comatose. He is asleep, and nobody can figure out why, because he's never actually really needed to sleep since he got his powers. And so he's being analyzed in the lab, trying to figure out what in the heck's going on in there. So meanwhile in Kansas City, Renita and Nathaniel are just hitting it off. They're at a ice cream place. Just Nathaniel's chowing down. He's like, I didn't need to eat when I was Captain Atom, so I forgot how to taste. Like, everything is just so good. It's fantastic. And so Renita's like, are you sure this is real? Like, are you sure that there's no part of Captain Atom? Like, and he's like, I can't feel any. And like, that part of me is just chilling back at the lab. I'm just Nathaniel. And he basically starts really leaning into like, oh, I could even touch you, wink, wink. And Renita's like, you do understand I am seeing Scott, right? Like, even if we're not doing anything, I kind of feel like we're cheating a little bit. Like, I'm sure that's not what you were intending, right? And he's like, well, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it, but no, I need time to reconnect. I need time to be human again. So yeah, no, I don't want to mess anything up with you. And Renita's like, yeah, okay, we'll see. So then we see the Captain Atom part, and we see Magala is just talking to him, and he's like, I don't know why you're asleep. Like, why are you ignoring us now? Is humanity not worth it to you anymore? Are you that far above the level of godhood? Like, I made you, man. You may think you're a god, but you have your powers thanks to me. So Magala's getting a little bit cuckoo in the coconut. Then we see a scientist named Benjamin who's just handling some late night work, and that was shoved on him at the last minute. And as he's working on it, all of a sudden next to him appears this little treasure chest looking object. And he calls down Magala and Dr. Scott and basically says, hey, look, this thing just appeared. But here's the thing about it. This is an exact duplicate of this treasure chest I had when I was a child. Like, it is definitely the exact same one. And Scott's like, this must be Captain Atom. Don't touch that thing. It's probably going to explode or something. Like, we need to figure out what the heck he's doing. And Magala's like, he's asleep, dude. Maybe this is what he does in his dreams, but we can't communicate with him right now. Like, we don't know what's going on. And so Scott storms out, and he's like, man, screw this. I'm not sticking around getting radiation poisoning because of his hiccups. And he tries calling Renita, leaves a message saying, like, hey, it's a good thing you didn't show up today because things are kind of crazy here. By the way, I really, really like you. Like, I really hope you know that. And he sends, like, cute little text messages to her. But then as he makes his way down the hallway, he sees a woman at the end. And he's like, man, you can't be here. Man, what are you doing? And he turns the woman around, and it's his mother, who apparently died quite some time ago. And he's like, what the hell is this? And Magala goes and talks to Captain Atom, and it's just like, are you doing this? I know you're asleep, but is this you? Are you doing this? Have you gone from granting miracles and switching over to wishes now? Like, what is going on inside your head? I will, and basically I like this one line here of Magala says, what about my wish, my desires? Or like a god, are you testing me, requiring me to prove my worth? If that's the case, you shall wait forever. I'm not interested in jumping through hoops for the likes of you, Nathaniel. I just like that little bit here. However, as he's saying that, Magala stands up from his chair, saying what he wants, and he goes and he immediately just flies like a fireball out into deep space, and we see him just taking in the entirety of the cosmos, and he just keeps on saying how I want to know, and he just zooms off into deep space. There's something to that, so hold on. So Renita and Nathaniel are walking in the park, and he sees a little pond nearby, and he's like, oh my god, I've wanted to do this for so long. And he starts taking off his socks and shoes, and Renita's like, what are you doing? You got to be crazy if you think I'm going to. And then we see that he's just putting his feet on the grass, because it's been forever since he's felt feet on his grass. It's always just felt like pressure against atoms when he was Captain Atom. And so he's like, what do you mean? Did you think I was going to skinny dip? And she's like, no. And he's like, you totally did. We can if you want to. And she's like, shut up. We're not doing that. But, it gets a little bit of flirtiness between them. And he gets up against her, and they basically just share a very tender moment, and They share a kiss. So there's that. Meanwhile, cut back to Scott, who's talking to his mother, and she's like, wow, you've grown up a lot. You're a doctor now? And he's like, oh, screw you, Captain Adam. And the mother's like, what? I don't understand. I'm scared. Tell me what's going on, Scott. And he's like, you're not my mom. My mom's dead. I don't know what you are. You're a sick imitation. You're a freak. I hate you. And the mom's like, no, Scotty, please, don't do that. So he runs off, and he's like going to just yell and shred into Captain Adam. But then we see Captain Adam is still asleep, but he's like to some level experiencing all this. We see Magala, who's unconscious in his chair. So he didn't actually zoom off to deep space, but he's not mentally there anymore. We see Scott upset at his mom. We see Nathaniel sharing a kiss. And then we see that last scientist who's looking at the chest. He hasn't opened it yet until finally now he creaks it open. He looks inside. And everything inside, everything from his childhood is still there, exactly as he left it. But as soon as he picks up one of it, it bursts into flames. And the flames immediately just consume the scientist. And he just starts boiling alive as he screams out in pain. And that's where we leave off on that happy note. I mean, I really like this. I don't know why it's happening, but it is just setting up this interesting little mystery of like, okay, what does infinite cosmic power do when A, it's not limited by humanity anymore, and B, it falls asleep? Like, what happens when it dreams? So I'm definitely intrigued by that. I want to see how it turns out. We are, I believe, in the last arc of this book. I believe it ends in 2 or 3 issues. So definitely looking to see how they decide to wrap up Captain Adam's story, but I've been loving this throughout. This particular issue is no exception. I'm going to go and give this one I'm giving it a high 7.5. Not quite an 8. It doesn't quite strike me as, like, amazing, because it is just the setup to what we're going to be doing these last few issues. It's just getting ready for that story. It's not doing anything particularly on its own yet, but setting up this wish-granting sort of motif to it. I'm definitely interested in that as a concept. So 7.5 from me. Definitely interested and looking forward to seeing how we manage to wrap all this up.